Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2 from the playoffs of WCS, the World Championship Series, fall of 2019. We have the German showdown, the two top German players facing off to be the champion of Deutschland and potentially the champion of WCS. We're going to be watching through the first-person perspective. We're going to be watching what they're selecting, what their camera's on. I'm going to have more information at the top. Of course, we'll have the production tab and things like that. But I think, one, this is one of the best ways to learn. It's tough to keep up with these players, even just watching as opposed to playing. It's tough to keep up, but I think, one, of course, the casters at WCS did a great job, so you can check out the official cast there. But also, if you want to learn something, you got to go to the source. So let me introduce our players. We'll be going back and forth. We'll be focusing on one player per game. For game number one, we're going to be focusing in the bottom left, and by that I mean the top left. It is, of course, Hero Big Gabe Marine. One of the best Terrans outside of Korea. Strong opinions and stronger macro. And opposing him, the PROTOSS, D Mauer, the Wall, known for his defense, and also incredibly solid macro. He's always willing to go the distance with the later games. He's always a step ahead. He's on the same level. Maybe not quite. He's on the same podium as stats. Maybe not quite as strong, but very similar playstyle. It's Showtime. We're already seeing it. We're going to be focusing on Heromarine this game, but there will be moments I try to cut over to Showtime and see what he has ready to respond. We've got the production tab. Of course, the players don't have the production tab in game. They can't see exactly how many workers are killed. They just got to figure that out for themselves. Heromarine is a Terran's Terran. I mean that in almost every way. In every way, really. He is a Terran player who will rely on all of the things that players wanted Terran and still think Terran is. What do I mean by that? What is the difference between Heromarine and Special or TY and even Marin? Heromarine will play macro, will fight against multiple forms of splash damage. He'll fight against Templar and Disruptors and Colossi. And he'll do it all with Marines and Marauders sometimes. Because he likes Marines and Marauders, he likes macro, he likes micro. I mean, it's in the name. It's in the name. He's given interviews where it's like, he's like, do you feel like you were a little pigeonholed to sticking as a Terran because of your name? And he's like, well, Terran is very hard. It's probably the toughest race. It's the hardest to play and most impressive. I'm paraphrasing. Not by much, but a little. So, yeah, because my name is Heromarine, I felt obligated. But also because of self-respect. Once again, very paraphrasing. He also, of course, to quote him from GSL versus the World, this is a strong statement from Big Gabe. He also feels that Cyril and Maru are considered top 5 players. Okay? A controversial statement, but Heromarine felt confident saying that both Maru and Cyril top 5 players, so he's not afraid to call it like it is. So far, just scouting around for a very quick third. Showtime has done a good job of walling off. That's your pretty standard wall. There's a lot of Reaper jump locations on these maps, but they can almost all be walled off, especially by PROTOSS. A constant point of contention between Terran players and map makers.
Add-on complete.
But the Widowmine drop is coming in. Now, since we're focusing really on breaking down what these players are doing, what I want you to watch is not up here. If you're an aspiring Meta League Terran player, or maybe even a better Terran player than me, because there's still plenty, it's here. Not up on the screen, not up on how many kills the Widowmines get, but what's happening in production, what's happening on the macro front. Because Starcraft is like an iceberg, okay? You can see a little bit of it above the water, but the real danger is the macro. And if you don't have the macro, you don't have the iceberg that incredible, unsinkable PROTOSS ship can hit and actually go down. Just to tie into that TERRAN superiority or inferiority complex, I guess it depends on how you phrase it.
Add-on complete.
At this point, it's kind of been scouted out by Heromarine that Blink Stalkers are the threat. That's why he's keeping some units in the main. He has the Marauders on the low ground, but plenty of Marines in the main base. This is a bit of a risky play here. The Stalkers are spotted on the low ground. Microing back. He actually brings his only medevac, which he used for the Widowmine drop, up around the top. Stim is about to finish. For those who don't know, in a relatively recent patch, less than a month before this tournament, between WCS Summer and WCS Fall, there was a patch which nerfed recall, which means using that recall ability as PROTOSS is on a longer cooldown by about 30 seconds, meaning if you get caught out and you use recall, you have a long while before you can commit again. And Stim was slightly buffed. It is about 20 seconds quicker, meaning that Stim Pack is a bigger threat early. Transitioning into Bile from early pressure is more profitable, and Heromarine using it already. He's going for the pylon, bringing in the army on the bottom left. Still, down here, the production, so important. Just constantly keep you up on it. Not supply block. 115 to 106 supply. Heromarine in the main, microing back, picks up into the medevac. Still going to be pressuring into the third. Will he scan forward? There's a whole lot. Sees a Guardian Shield. Widowmine splitting back. Constantly producing back at home. Third command center is on the way, on location, by the way. Oh, going in towards the main. The Widowmines eventually being chipped down. Is there enough bio to deal with this? He's decided to back off. So, Showtime has held for now. He's rotated his defenses around. He hasn't taken too much in the way. Now we're going to use that observer perspective. It's 48 SCVs against 57 probes. Without Widowmines and or Liberators here, the bio army is scary, but enough gateway units can easily deal with it. The upgrades, +1 infantry weapons up against +1 armor. The most dangerous part of the game, and this is part of the reason I say he's a Terran's Terran. He's just going to keep piling on the Marines and Marauders until the last possible second, then maybe a few more. He's always looking to go for this. If it doesn't start with M, Heromarine ain't a big fan of it. But this is the hardest part for Showtime. The big drop is coming in. Going to the Showtime perspective. Looking at his vision. He sees the medevacs loading up. Looking for a fourth base. And against a very mobile army like this, full of medevacs and a strong bio army, establishing a fourth is risky. You need to have aggressive defense. If you don't have these observers on location, you can see he has full vision outside of his base, giving him at least enough time to warp in. Then he's not going to be able to get a fourth up safely. Now, honestly, the map is dark and full of Terrans. Heromarine, you have to assume Heromarine is right outside of your vision at all times. A Terran player of this caliber is always waiting for their opportunity. Gonna work on blinking forward. A couple charge lots are all Showtime could afford. Starts the storm until he gets it. He kind of has to be on the defensive because he doesn't have the ability to deal with these armies heads up. Just going to give up the fourth instead of committing to a fight he's not confident he's going to win. Slipping the Warp Prism out. Still, the danger of drops is there. Showtime actually a little supply blocked here. The rock's being taken down. Storm constantly chrono boosted. The Terran army coming in from both angles now. Guardian Shield will be used. Oh, some Widowmine hits actually connecting off screen there. More Warpins at the back. Feedback still going to be useful if he doesn't have Storm. The medevacs really keeping this all intact. Big Gabe continually piling on the pressure. But it's time for Showtime's counter pressure. Once he has Storm, he has a little bit better option for defending at home cost effectively and importantly supply effectively. Now here comes Showtime's counter pressure. Just the Warp Prism. The Warp Prism has 4 charge slots now, but that could easily multiply. He has 8 gateways. Now, the vision is very lacking. He's constantly producing. He's building another observer now. The observers keep getting picked off by Heromarine. Heromarine's been quiet. What's he been up to? Oh, he's right outside the front. Right inside the observer vision. But storms are already there. Will that trigger a response? He's already building ghosts back at home. All he has is this one big push. There's a single Viking to defend against the Warp Prism. The Viking already on patrol. He spots it, bringing some more units back to defend. The charge lots will be popped out of the Prism. It doesn't look like anything else is going to happen here. Ghosts going to be spotted by Showtime. Heromarine actually backs off. He knows he's dealing with Storm now. So he's really focusing on the Ghost. Will he go for the new Shockwave upgrade to increase significantly the EMP radius? As Roddy has questioned, what is larger, the new EMP radius with the upgrade or the Sun? PROTOSS players do not know yet. But so far, the Templar, he doesn't scan forward, but he has a few Marauders split off to eat the first storms and maybe pick off a couple Templar, breaking their Templar knees, which for some reason makes them move slower. All right, EMPs across the board. He doesn't have the upgrade yet, but it doesn't matter when you've got half a dozen EMPs to wash over the entire Protoss army. Heromarine tearing through everything at the front, and down goes the 4th base, and a bunch of the probes are going to go with it. Oh, he's going to be, if he's not careful, he's going to get caught between a rock and a hard place. Oh, a nice split, minimizing the damage. Showtime actually took down the rocks on the other side. Another big hit in the center mass. The critical mass of Bio is being whittled down, and Showtime is defending for now. Heromarine didn't have all his units in the fray. The fact that he took down the collapsible rock tower, and he literally locked Heromarine in between a rock and a hard place. He did micro his way out of a total defeat. But now, we'll go over to the Showtime cam. Well, he was able to defend because of that tactical move. And he's got the beautiful new war chest disruptors. He is down on supply. He has to keep Heromarine back. He has to keep the brunt of the Terran army from bearing down on his force, because if he loses it again, that's the game. He's going to start mining out of his main. He's not going to have the cost effectiveness. The EMP upgrade is on the way. The Shockwave's going to reign over everything. In fact, the disruptors are a great choice because EMP, well, 1, doesn't negate them, and 2, it doesn't stop them from firing their shot. That's the simple version. And can also help zone out the ghosts. That's going to be very important, even if they're cloaked. The Warp Prism was taken down. Now, where is the Terran army? You have to assume it's outside your 4th base. Let's look at Heromarine. Oh my, he's right there. He's waiting. He's poised. He's on the doorstep. He's waiting to break it down. Spots out the disruptors. Gonna try to snipe off whatever he can. There's an SCV here. The boys are leading the charge. Disruptor shot, airball. Storm on it. That SCV ate a disruptor shot and a storm. In fact, I think at this time he might be sacrificing a few SCVs. He's got 70. A cancel on the 4th. Showtime. He has to hold. He's losing so much, though. Heromarine laying on the pressure. He's up 50 supply. He actually just cancels, builds some more command centers. Heromarine. Oh, a big disruptor hit. A little bit of a slip there. Now, Showtime, how do you break out of this? Blinking forward, chasing down a clump of the army, but Showtime's starting to realize, well, he spots the army on the other side. Disruptors looking for their opportunity. So much only splash damage here, but you can't engage. Heromarine looking for his... Oh, EMP across everything! The shockwaves rippling across the Protoss army. And they will not survive it. He has to back off. 199 to 160 supply. Heromarine looking at 3-3. Showtime does have 2-3, so pretty solid for him, but what does he have on defense? He's struggling for a 4th. Heromarine has locked the map down. Showtime doesn't have nearly enough vision to feel confident. And the army once again is moving up towards the 4th. He pulls him to the left, and then he knocks him out on the right. He can't lose. I said it last time. I said it 2 cancels ago. He couldn't lose the 4th, and he still can't. But Showtime gonna try to hold. Sees an army on the left as well. I'm not sure if that's an observer or just a zealot. It's a zealot. Does he have a disruptor shot? Trying to keep a hold of everything. Maybe a fadeaway. looking for the opportunity. The main army is still towards the fort. EMP is coming through. Another disruptor. It's worth it. You hit a ghost, you keep the disruptor alive, why not? But more rocks being opened up, more opportunity for Terran units to come spilling in. But as always, Showtime holding. Is he going to lose the fourth? Another disruptor volley. Doesn't get a cancel. He's just trying to get the shots off. He needs to take a decisive fight. The charge lot spilling in from the left. The Warp Prism getting caught out as well. Disruptors following the army up. Heromarine is forced to retreat. There's far too many disruptors. The fadeaways are so dangerous. It doesn't matter how little shields the PROTOSS army has if disruptor balls are coming out and staring you down. Already expecting a potential split and drop from Heromarine. Showtime trying to be at least a step or two ahead in order to hedge his bets here, but I think he just spotted out all of the medevacs, and that means there is no attack coming through. Heromarine, he has to defend this last attack. Let's take a look. Oh, wow! Oh, I didn't know what I was looking at, because Heromarine, I didn't expect it. Showtime doesn't expect it. He's pre-flanking him here. He knows Showtime's somewhere in there. Oh, and he snipes off Templar. A bunch of Archons! EMP! Eviscerating the shields. Another fourth base snipe. Big Gabe with big plays. It goes straight towards the main. There's a few stalkers. There's not enough. He's going to drop right on top, dunking the point home. He could lose these units. He dragged them all the way back to his own main. Liberators are in production. Advanced Ballistics is finishing up. Continually laying on the pressure and tearing him apart. He's maxed out on upgrades. I don't know if he has any ship weapons. +2 ship weapons. He has EMP Shockwave. What is it actually called? Enhanced Shockwaves. Big waves for Big Gabe. More disruptor shots. They're hitting single Marines. Heromarines. Another drop coming out. Looking for the only other potential fourth base location. Showtime is rebuilt in the same spot he's tried before, but I don't know. I don't know. Showtime has not been able to mine from a fourth base for more than 30 seconds or so. Heromarine putting on a bit of a clinic here. Just simply perfectly micro and flank while macroing and denying fourth bases, and that's how you beat PROTOSS. The Liberators holding the line. Showtime's army is sizable, but his economy not so much. Heromarine putting everything together. He's just trying to figure out where to put his pieces because he's pretty much maxed out. He can't build too many more. The Disruptor zoning for now. A small group of bio. Showtime trying to play, well, trying to keep the bio army back and maybe find an opportunity to pick off the Liberators, but guess what? The Liberators catching the Disruptors. That's just not how it works. The splits. He's all over the place. He's airballing. He's Shaq at the free throw line right now. He can't find a connection. Hitting one or two Marines and Marauders. That's not going to cut it. The target fire. The last shot. He was staring at it. Showtime was staring at it. But he didn't find it. Another double hit. There's still some Disruptors on the map. Showtime. What does he have left? He's got a bunch of blank stalkers. He's got a few disruptors. He's got a fourth base mining. But for how long? A lot of those units are badly bruised, but here comes Heromarine again. That split not incredible, but it's good enough. The Liberators, you can't even see them because of that range. They're so far away. You want to have Tempests at this time. You want to have half a dozen of them even, but it's not enough. The instant tap out after the GG and Showtime put in his place there, to be honest. I thought that was going to be back and forth, but it was mostly fourth. Showtime pushed Heromarine a few times. He nudged him, but Heromarine slapped him back. Every time you take a foot, no Nexus for you, no Nexus for you, no Nexus for you. I don't know how many, 4 or 5 times. But if you can't get the economy, you can't get that next level attack, which is the Stargate, the Tempest to deal with ranged Liberators. And if you can't get that, then eventually a solid Terran player will corner you up against your own bases, and it's going to become almost impossible to break out. That was only game 1 though. He's still got time. Next up is Acropolis. Just have perfect splits, decision making, and don't slip on your macro. There you go. Easy recipe for victory. Game number 2. We're going to be focusing more on the PROTOSS. Once again, trying to flip back and forth. Of course, leave feedback. Well, probably, hopefully better than the Templar. And comments like, I love doing the first-person perspectives. You get an idea. It's impressive. That's it. Like, both sides. It's incredible. It's breathtaking, if you would. How well these players play. Hundreds of APM. It gives you a little bit of insight. If for a second, I think it does a little to alleviate the, looks like Showtime's just throwing the game there. You saw how much pressure he was under. Every time there was a little, like, he didn't have vision, like an observer was sniped, you can assume 30 seconds later there's 100 supply of TERRAN waiting, breathing down your neck, waiting for the opportunity to jump you. You could feel the pressure of Big Gabe. And who wouldn't? But if you enjoy the flipping back and forth, sometimes I like to just watch one player the whole time. I'm trying to flip back and forth to get an idea of the whole story. But it's tough. It's tough to follow just one of these players, so. And of course, while you're writing that feedback, smash the like button. You might be like, Winter, I'm on Twitch watching this live, because we do it live. In true Starcraft fashion. We don't take breaks, we don't take pauses, unless I saw a clip from the WCS event. Apparently the lights from the Rocket League stage were directly in the players' eyes, and they had to pause sometimes for that. So what I'm trying to say is delete Rocket League. It's a game for no passion people. Of course. But I think the issue, Showtime, the Blink Stalker style is a little outdated now. With the buff to Stim, it's not a big buff, but with the buff to Stim, and also slightly the buff to EMP, going for the Blink Stalker style into a quick third, like Showtime did, kind of encourages you into going heavy gateway. Heavy gateway units, the big strength of them, and the big reason why they were a common tactic up against, well, TERRAN for a while, and they will continue to be, but they lost their effectiveness a bit because of Stim Pack being a little bit quicker. That means TERRAN players can lay on the pressure quicker. Without Stim, you can't really deal with Blink Stalkers and Charge Locks. They're just going to pick you apart. But with Stim a little quicker, when you focus on those bio pushes like Heromarine did, you just don't have the window to keep the TERRAN, I guess, anchored at home that you did before. And with Recall, a little bit of a longer cooldown, it is more risky to be out on the map. I'm not saying it's not good. Like, Showtime's going for it again. And it's not a... Having Blink is... Aggressive defense is the name of the game. Especially against TERRAN. Being out on the map, keeping them from getting close. You want them to Stim, you want them to make mistakes, fly their medevacs over a weird location. There's a lot of mistakes that TERRAN can make before they get to your base. So, the Blink is your best way. Like, you could build a Robo, you can fly an Observer. Or you can fly a hallucinated Phoenix into a Widowmine. There's also that. But nothing really shows the true colors and the true units that a TERRAN is building. Like putting a bunch of Blink Stalkers up in his grill. Does he have a tank? Does he just have bio? Is he maybe going mech? Like, you're going to see what units they have if you pressure with Blink Stalkers, so that is the advantage of it.
I am here in the shadows.
Alright. So far, Showtime is predicting. So, whenever you see players with moves like this. Like, Showtime has a bunch of Stalkers in his main. Blink is finishing. It almost feels like map hacks, alright? It almost feels like we should call in the team, right? But it is a much even stronger form. It is mind hacks. These players play so much StarCraft, including against one another. I mean, these are the top 2 German players. I don't know if that means they practice together more often. I don't think so, but they definitely play that top of that European ladder. And you know the styles they're going to play. That's the beauty of StarCraft, though, is many times you can know what your opponent is doing, but it's much closer to chess at this level, where even though you can see every move your opponent makes and predict many of the moves they will, it really does come down to who has the better tactics. So wait, it's the opposite of chess. Chess is just who's going to play smarter, whereas this is who's going to play faster sometimes. You might be the best Twitch chat grandmaster out there. You might know every build. But that doesn't mean you're going to be able to blink your Stalkers as well as Showtime, or split your Marines as well as Heromarine, or just do everything perfectly as well as Cyril, okay? Now this was a uncharacteristic mistake. Heromarine, I guess he didn't realize there was an observer there. Showtime clowning on him a little. That was, he just didn't know the arms was on him. He tried to fly towards the third, easily intercepted, clean shutdown, and now Showtime. He has everything. That one medevac last game you saw, not only did it get a Widowmine drop in, kill some probes, but it also came back home, picked up some Marines, which got into the base and helped to pressure the third by drawing units away. This time, no medevac, no Widowmines, no nothing. So any of the pressure that might have been put on is removed, and that is a big win for the PROTOSS. You see already, he's like, you know that 4th base I was never allowed to get last game? Why not? Because he's already got charge done. I'm going to jump over to Heromarine's camera. We haven't looked at him much. He's got a push coming. Like, you got to do something. Especially when you're opening bio. He's got a Raven with this. A lot of options. The Raven, the Swiss Army knife. You can go for anti-armor missile to make that bio much more effective. Interference matrix for key units like Immortals and Warp Prisms. Auto turrets for fire support. And of course, detection. Can't forget that. For things like observers, keeping the PROTOSS in the dark. Already some turret ring, well, a bit of a turret ring being put up, knowing he's very vulnerable to Warp Prism. A rush to enhance shock waves here. Wants to make big waves. Really focusing on that EMP. How much does Showtime know about this? He keeps... Oh, he even pulled the Zealot back. He was at the Watchtower. He saw the army coming. Is that a Templar drop? That's not a Storm drop, but if he gets a feedback on the Raven, that takes a significant amount of effectiveness out of this army. Yeah, a single Templar in that medevac could be enough, but you don't want to risk the first Templar being sniped off. Well, Widowmine connects. Showtime now adding on exploratory pylons. Pylons just... You want to extend your vision as far as possible. You need to have time. You have a few seconds to set up your army, get into position. That can make all of the difference. Once the TERRAN army, like, you get some entrenched Widowmines, the Bio army a good concave, it's very hard to engage as a PROTOSS, especially if you only have one form of splash damage. Oh, the storms already! Another Widowmine found, but the secondary splash, not the only one making big waves is Big Gabe. The secondary splash damage is coming up for Showtime. He's got a Robobay on the way, and I guess you could call Archon secondary, but they're still vulnerable to the same things Templar are. Being made from 2 loving Templar when they decide to settle down and get some shields. But the army's spotted. Some charge lots going out. Showtime feeling pretty confident here. Heromarine Most of his army's back at home. This has been a passive game. Both of them kind of jockeying for position without committing to any big fight. Spots the army, spots the brunt of it. Showtime. Oh, the anti-armor missile hits a whole bunch of this. He drops back. The upgraded EMP looking for an opportunity. I don't know how many Templar he hit in the prism. Another EMP just going to knock out an observer. Decloak it for a time. A charge lot's coming in at the third. Some supply depots making things difficult. Showtime is backed off to his fourth base. Time is in his favor right now. He's double upgrading with +3 on the way. He's getting double disruptor as well. Stargate is coming up. Oh, the interference matrix onto the prism. No dropouts of those. That could be enough for Heromarine to get into position. EMPs at the front. Yeah, working his way towards it. And now he's dropping out those high-energy Templar. Are there anti-armor missiles? He drops another one directly onto the Archon. It also helps against the shields. Heromarine continually trying to get into this location. But there's enough. Showtime, even if he doesn't have shields, those shields come back. I don't know if he knows about the fourth base. It's kind of implied at this point that Heromarine does have a fourth, but he hasn't been able to put on any pressure. Oracle on the way. Revelation can't be removed except by losing the units, but the disruptors from the side. Showtime coming in, using the blinks. Another big shot, targeted down. Heromarine doing a good job so far. He finds himself at a 25 supply lead. He knows he's had a pretty good fight despite losing some of the key units like the Raven. But that's a lot of complicated PROTOSS to deal with. There aren't any Liberators yet. It looks like there were Vikings partially for the Prism and partially for Colossi if they were the ones, if they were the choices. But Showtime, one of the players who is essentially a disruptor evangelist, like an advanced M-canning. He loves his disruptors. He's one of the signature players using him. Him, Mana, and M-canning. Maybe not in that order. Another disruptor shot in the center mass. He's looking for an opportunity. Heromarine trying to break through. That disruptor shot. Oh, whoa, the fade away, the juke. It looked like it hit his own zealots, but it hits a big clump of the Marine Marauder. Heromarine losing fights on both fronts. He still has a ton of medevacs, really focusing on that Terran's Terran, the Marines, the Marauders, and the Mines. He's microing his way back. The Ghosts, nowhere to be seen. Is that because of Cloak or because they're dead? One way or the other. Well, they are ghosts, so let's not get into a philosophical question. But Showtime holds the line on every front. He has the upgrades. His tech has not been dealt with. +3 armor, +2 attack against 2-2. Heromarine's got 3-3 on the way. Let's go to the Heromarine camp. He's kind of scrambling now. His tech has been a little reset. Adding on Liberators. The APM's approaching 400 for both sides, and both of them need all of it and then some. A fifth base established, but this time not nearly as much of a decisive game for Heromarine. He has not been able to pressure the fourth or the fifth base. He's desperately trying to gut the tech in the production and maybe take a decisive fight during the same time. A simultaneous drop in the main, going to be complemented by a defense on the other side. Showtime not really paying attention. The Templar Archive is going to be targeted down. Down goes the Planetary. Another disruptor taken out. Not sure what these Marines are doing. Looks like a bit of a mishotkey there. A big storm going to keep things alive. Is there enough bio at home to defend? Does Heromarine have too many SCVs? No, he just lost a few more. But there's not actually that much army. Oh, a lot of it was in the main. Needs to come down. A nice wall off here. Liberators for defense. Still stemming his way through. Eventually, enough warpins from Showtime going to hold the line. Back to Showtime.
Somebody, get me out of this mess.
Well, somebody has to get you out of this mess. Vikings on the way. I believe he spotted the Tempest. Yeah, one Tempest was at home to help defend against this attack. Showtime still maintaining 200 supply, starting to get a bank. He did lose the Templar Archives, going to replace it. Has DT Blink being researched. That's how you know you're rich. Tempest and all flavors of Templar.
Consciousness awakened.
Oh, big brain. Showtime heading on some more cannons. He's got plenty of bases. He's not making the mistake a lot of PROTOSS players do by completely tech switching, but instead complementing his army. He's got 10 gates and counting. I mean, you've got the money. The biggest... How many times have you seen a PROTOSS player lose because they only have 8 gates and 2,800 minerals in the bank? Sometimes more zealots are what you need. Heromarine still with a bio-focused army, but the disruptors from the north side, big connections, still zoning out, the Liberators exposed, isolated, and killed. Showtime flipping around, looking for opportunity. 2 more Stargates on the way. +1 air weapons. Shadow Stride / DT Blink. Continually adding on Stalkers. Stalkers a precision tool. But in the hands of Showtime, exactly what he needs. Point defense. Storms over the wall. From the wall. The Zealots at the 3rd base. He's not even looking at them. They were already on the right shift queue. Looks like they killed some SCVs and forced the rest of the way away from the base. A Venn diagram of freedom will protect the 5th. But he throws a Disruptor Nova through the overlapping liberation zones. Once there are enough Liberators, the Tempests are required. Well, good thing for Showtime, he already has them. He's got 2 and counting. I believe it takes 5 Tempests with +1 air attack to one-shot Liberators. Assuming they don't have, like, big armor upgrades, which they more than likely don't. That's one way to have an observer. A Dark Templar, an expensive observer, but effective. Another big storm. Heromarine. Stretching out. Trying to look for an opportunity. Storms coming through. Another disruptor shot. Heromarine. So many Stim Marines and Marauders, but another big storm. Just Stalkers here, not going to cut it. Liberation zones isolating the base. Marauders doing a great job here. A whole lot of medevacs to work with. Disruptors looking for an opportunity. He throws out a couple balls here. There's not much of a ground army to help defend. Heromarine working his way through. The Vikings on top of it. Disruptor shot zoning out. He will lose the Nexus. He defends on the southern half of the map, though. He loses the extraneous base that well, this base is not required right now. He defends the 2 bases to the south, the 4th and the 5th, and that means Showtime can now go on the offensive. Heromarine committed a lot of units to the attack on both fronts. Disruptors getting caught out, a lot of control groups, a lot of things to manage. I'm not sure if this is Hogwarts or Starcraft. A lot of spell casting to be done. Another disruptor shot. Back and forth. You have to respect it. Some Liberators on the way south. Did Showtime? Yeah, he sees them. Heromarine out the front. Showtime getting a little out of position here, or is he? Disruptor shot gonna be avoided. Liberator sieging up. The Stalkers are already there. Oh, Liberators looking for an opportunity. An army. Showtime has a few units moving up from the south. I'm not sure how much splash damage is with it. No, it's just gateway units. Heromarine spotting it. Big Gabe forced to retreat for now. Showtime, though, well, neither side really has a bank. They're both spending all their money. Showtime has made this a much more even game than last game, and it still feels like Showtime, if he gets a good fight, he wins the game, whereas Heromarine gets a good fight, then he kills a base. Those are 2 very different things. A lot of SCVs going down. Disruptor shots curving around the turrets. Heromarine always looking for a huge flank. Showtime needs to scramble to defend. Some of the Tempests getting caught out. Where are the Templar? Heromarine just going to go straight into the heart of the PROTOSS. He did lose a key base here, and he's not mining from that northern side, so he's going to start running out of income. He needs to pressure Showtime. The scan spots out most of the army. He's going to go straight for the 3rd. He's going to try to find a weak point. Revelation finds a lot of these units as well. EMPs maybe at the front. Don't keep the disruptors from firing, but might wipe out the energy on any Templar. I don't know if there are any Templar. The fight spans multiple screens here. The disruptors looking for an opportunity. A single Liberator picking some off. Without the shields, they are incredibly vulnerable. Heromarine coming in from all sides, but there's still a lot of opportunity. Disruptor shots from downtown. Airball on that one. The Liberator still going to work. Bio army from all fronts, but a big disruptor shot on the southern mass. Showtime brings it all together. And suddenly, he clenches the fist of PROTOSS and knocks Heromarine back. Big Gabe not able to break through. The DTs helped to clean up the disruptors. It looked like it might be tough until suddenly the TERRAN army was shattered. Showtime had all the tools at his disposal and he was able to use them well enough. Those players ending at 440 and 421 actions per minute. You see, Heromarine, if you just had those extra 20, the thing is, even though that's a nice sarcastic meme, if he had another 20 APM, it might have been enough at some point. What a game. Oh, that's the difference. Like, you could argue in that match that all spiraled off of the Widowmine drop getting completely shut down. Showtime getting a quick fourth, unpressured, not being worried about his economy, getting all of his tech and upgrades together. A world of difference. Also, a bit of a larger map, less opportunity to be caught in a concave on the defensive half, but these players, they scale up. They are both, I think they're both pretty much the iconic players. It might be a little strong to say the iconic players for their race, but Heromarine, his name is Heromarine. I mean, come on. He plays with Heromarines. That is his entire focus. He's all about the Marines. You see how many medevacs he makes. He makes more medevacs than anyone else. Other players are like, we're going to tech up to ranged liberators with 4 medevacs. Heromarines like, well, I support medevacs for all. All right, every Marine and Marauder, or at least every 5 supply, will have a medevac. So that way I can lose half of them and still have enough. It is a stylistic choice, and it only pays off if you are able to use those units as effectively as he does. If you have a tendency to lose units to disruptors, the medevacs don't do anything for you. Alright? They can't heal through a disruptor hit. There is no defensive matrix to save you here. So. And it didn't pan out that time. Honestly, the medevac style is pretty fast and loose. And I know it sounds weird calling it the medevac style, but it does kind of hold up. Some players like Special and TY are great examples. Special, TY's biggest fan, and sometimes surpassing him. But they're very tech-oriented. They're on top of what is the next level of tech I need? Like, do I need ranged liberators? Do I need ghosts? They try to be a step ahead. Heromarine tries to battle, maybe be a half step ahead, but he's ready to get down in the dirt. He'll stick with the M-based units, the Marines, the Marauders, medevacs, and mines. Maybe a few ghosts thrown in, but that's what he likes. Okay? And you gotta respect a man who knows what he likes. Now, Cyril and Maru might be top 5 players.
SCVs are under attack.
But Heromarine has a top 5 heart. I don't know. I didn't know how to finish that sentence. So I don't we'll see if it carries him through. For those who haven't, they should check out Showtime. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but for BlizzCon, Blizzard does a great job with the WCS Signature series, which you should check out right now, all of them. But it's essentially like a mini documentary on some of the BlizzCon players. Some of the players, especially like last year, Cyril, for example, and Neeb, getting kind of an in-depth look. They talk to, it's going to sound a little weird, but the family of the players, because, I mean, I've been playing Starcraft since my parents were turning off the internet because I was sleeping through school. I mean, look at me now, Mom. All right, I dropped out of school to talk about Starcraft, but still. Okay, so who ended up in the right there? But a lot of the players have stories like that, like, my parents weren't very supportive, but then, like, I kind of won a tournament for $50,000, and they're like, I guess this is a thing. Or some of the players, like, with like, for example, Cyril, whose brother actually was in Korea in early StarCraft 2, and I believe Brood War. His brother, who was beating him, his older brother beating him up in StarCraft for years. in these Signature Series interviews. And of course, his brother being like, well, I'm very supportive. I'm so glad he's doing well. But also, like, what if I had kept playing?
Command center upgrade complete.
And you gotta have those feelings. And that's why, and what I'm getting around to is I know Showtime has one. That's really enlightening. Showtime, not the most, like, outspoken player. It's not like he's quiet or anything, but not the most outspoken, but it gives you a lot of backstory. I don't know if there's one for Heromarine. I don't remember. But this year, I'm looking forward to seeing one. And it was in 2006 with his 17th game of Starcraft, Heromarine, who had named himself at the age of 7, decided he hated PROTOSS. Okay. But so far, a 1-1-1 to kick things off in game number 3, all evened up. Heromarine has we've seen a strong demonstration of the relatively new patch changes. With the transition from tech into bio with Stim, the EMP shockwaves, not necessarily being the be-all end-all, but definitely affecting the matchup. We've had, for nearly 10 years now, we have debated EMP versus Storm. Okay, like, well, Storm is instant cast with no projectile, and they can feedback the ghosts, but technically EMP has slightly more range. Well, oh, wait a second. Hold that thought. Showtime. Oh, no. A single Widowmine hit comes in, but it actually hits SCVs as well. Where did all these adepts come from? It's a disaster. Oh, and he left the door open. You can't leave the door open. This isn't Canada. Wait a second. Actually, this is Montreal, but still. Another Widowmine hit, but those adepts are still intact. He left it open again. The adepts will get out. Oh my god, 14.
Base is under attack.
14 SCVs and counting. Oh no, not again. Oh god, this is like a Scooby-Doo movie. In this case, though, Scooby-Doo is not going to catch the villain. Scooby-Doo has permanent economic damage that will leave him in debt for the rest of this season. Oh god, the oracles come in.
SCVs are under attack.
Heromarine with a desperation drop. Oh my god, what is the worker? 29 to 55. Showtime. He's got a third. He's got charge on the way. He still has a depth threat. Like, this was a complete and utter bamboozle. I feel like Heromarine, despite this not being live, and this being from the awesome replay pack Blizzard puts out, I feel like Heromarine distracted by my amazing WCS Signature Series story so much that he got caught completely off guard by this attack. Nice pulsar beams pulsing through. Wow, I am very, like, he did lose the Reaper kind of early. The drop's coming in. Heromarine gonna try to put things together. But already Showtime, he saw the attack coming out. Ooh, loses the Oracle, so maybe a little greedy on the probe count. This is Heromarine's one shot. He's got one opportunity. Stim is done. He does have +1. Can he make a mountain out of this molehill? He has a lot of Marines. The one thing that Showtime didn't kill were the units. He spent a lot of units trying to deal with that. Wait a second. Wait a second. Okay. Heromarine doesn't have combat shield. The charge is done, but Marines with +1 and medevacs. Heromarine, I mean, what? The boys! One shot! He knows he has just enough units left over. Combat shield might be finishing up, and so is +1 armor. Archons on the way. Archons could be the nail in the coffin here. He needs that tank. Is he going to siege it up? No, just unsiege the SCVs. Going to hold the line. The probes are pulled. 22 SCVs go down. And unfortunately, while Heromarine looked like he might break through, Showtime had a lot of ground to give. All the boys. It's just Marines being produced. He doesn't He has 16 SCVs and a couple mules. Archons are out. Showtime didn't get too greedy. The Archons say it's time. 2 Gs in a row and Big Gabe down for the count. 2-1. I really quick, I want to go back. I want to see, because I was busy with my fun anecdote, but I stand by. You guys should check out the Signature series. I want to see what Heromarine saw. Did he lose the Reaper, or did it just...
Command center upgrade complete.
It just didn't see anything. Showtime, meanwhile... Oh, he hit his oracles. This is part of it. Like, he didn't show the oracles. The Reaper went down. There was no scan, and there was no bunker. Both of which are pretty greedy. He made bunker in other games, but he didn't make a bunker this game. This is essentially, if there's a scan, or if there's a bunker, this goes a lot worse here for Showtime. But I just wanted to kind of get an idea of how much he was committing. And yeah, if this gets slammed, if there is a bunker like right here, and the door's not open, of course, and I think this looks a lot different. There's even a Viking, but Heromarine cutting some corners. And, well, that's what happens. And then a little bit of panic, I think, as well. Almost making it, but nice build out of Showtime. That's a great one to pull out in a best of 5. Not cheesy. I mean, a little cheesy. Because if that was scouted, it loses a lot of its effectiveness. That's the difference between a cheese and an all-in. Is a cheese is a build that, if you know it's coming, loses a lot of its strength, whereas an all-in does not. Like, an all-in might lose 20-30% of its strength if you know it's coming, whereas a cheese loses over half. Like, if he knows this is coming, you build a better wall, you don't put the tank there, maybe even get a turret in the main, like he had an engineering bay, stuff like that. So, but Showtime pulling out a little bit of a cheese. A macro cheese, but a cheese. And he picks up a game. Now it's a best of 5. It's a best of 5. It ain't over yet. Big Gabe still has a dream. And he only dreams big. But first, if Jimmy says it is 2019, we are doing Starcraft, so we got to do something. I'll be right back. We have a quick advertisement / public service announcement. Who can tell the difference nowadays? I'll be right back. If you guys could pause ad block, that'd be awesome. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed. We've got at least one more game to go if Showtime can take it. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Winter, and I'm here to talk to you all about smashing that like button. You might be like, Winter, for all the Minecraft YouTubers, of which you are now one, with that one Minecraft video, they all tell me to smash the like button. But do I need to do it here? Do I need to do it on every craft-related video? The answer is yes. And why? Because that way YouTube knows you like things. Actually, what I've learned is I get too many likes. Yes, it's a real problem. Because when you get 98, 99% likes, that doesn't drive much controversy. Or controversy, if we speak English. So, maybe you're feeling a little spicy, like, Winter, Loco already casted this match, even though he's casting the same replays I am. Or Winter, I actually watched WCS live, like a passionate Starcraft fan. Even more passionate than me, because I'm a vampire and couldn't catch it live. Well, that's nice. Still, maybe you dislike. Because that way, YouTube's like, 90% likes only. This is a controversial video. And that drives views. So, hopefully not too much clickbait, but plenty of dislike. Okay, not that much. Use your feelings, okay? Leave the comments, and also they say ring the bell. It's a little annoying. I wish I could just be like, this is StarCraft 2 Pro match number 194 of this year that I've casted. But guess what? We need to get through all those Minecraft videos. Help me out today. Thank you, and have an amazing day. Thank you guys for sticking around. I know ads are annoying, but esports in 2019, right? So. Next up is World of Sleepers. Despite these players being so entirely woke. Oh, Jimmy. Jimmy! The screen!
SCV ready.
Showtime on match point. Heromarine getting caught off guard entirely. Two incredible back and forth macro games. Game number 1. Heromarine laying on the pressure and keeping it on, keeping the TERRAN boot to Showtime's PROTOSS neck until he eventually didn't have enough air. But in game number 2, it was Showtime shutting down all of Big Gabe's early pressure. Oh my god, is this a max packs? Wait, no, this is actually a straight up 2-gate. Showtime! Maybe he spent too much time in France. He's got the cheese to complement Heromarine's wine. Omar. Okay, so wait, did he notice that probe? Did it come in from a weird angle? I believe he actually kind of adjusted it so it didn't look weird. These are all timed out. Will he scout for it? And yes, details like that very much matter. Your star senses start tingling. It is a Marine first. Wait, does Heromarine? No. He doesn't. I don't know why I made a Marine first. This is a tough map as well. I think he may have just been like, I'm not getting a Reaper in. Because there's only a little jump location that can easily be blocked. That might be part of it. Marine, he doesn't have any idea. At all.
SCV ready.
Showtime's actually building an Adept. I think that's at the main. Oh, no. Oh, it's potentially disaster. It does come down. This is not like... It's not going to win the game this second. A lot of the time, this kind of attack, it doesn't win the game. But it puts the TERRAN in such a tough position economically. Yeah, immediate cancel. Now, Showtime doesn't have enough base. Oh, he's going to proxy a Stargate. I don't know how much I actually like this, though. Like, usually... Oh my god. Do the play! Do the play! Okay. Oh no. He's doing the boring version of this. Okay. So, you can technically dodge Widowmine shots with Adept Shades. Okay? Oh, he might do it now. But, there is a thin margin of error. Okay? He might do it now. He's using the Adept Shade for high ground vision. It has limited vision, but it has enough. This is a macro proxy Stargate. I think the Stargate maybe a little bit to deny scouting, but mostly to get in there a little bit quicker as well. Going for a Phoenix. He's really looking to keep Heromarine honest. He saw the tech lab upgrading on the barracks, though. That means it's a bio army. That means it's just going to be a bunch of Stim Marines and Marauders. Didn't actually see the Widowmine lock on, so where is the Widowmine is the question he has to be asking right now. Will Heromarine just do a one base all in? Showtime doesn't know. He still sees it. Because that might be a bait. It might just be concussive shells getting canceled, or actually just concussive shells to do a Marauder pressure. He's just continually scouting. He might even switch it up for a factory, or even a starport. Like, Cloak Banshees would potentially be dangerous right now. Showtime is really... This was a very cheesy build. This was a big commitment, too. You gotta appreciate that. You don't want to half-ass it. You want to full-ass it. And he's been doing that. Last game and this game. He built a gateway in his natural. It's not like he just came up with that. He practiced this. Okay, this was the plan. He knew there wouldn't be quite enough vision by the SCV building a command center to see that gateway. So, he's going to be looking for the Widow Mine. Oh, he's spotting around. Oh, but the drop! What a fortuitous timing. Heromarine sends out a drop. It will be spotted. So, now what? Well, the Oracles kind of lose most of their effectiveness if they don't come in unannounced, essentially. While he sees the drop, this is a bit of an awkward scenario here. We're going... I'm focusing mostly on the Showtime camera here because this is kind of a weird scenario for PROTOSS. He didn't do much damage. He killed 2 or 3 SCVs, and he delayed it. He killed 4. Okay, and he delayed his own Nexus. Like, I'm not sure what kind of cues you take here, because Showtime doesn't seem to be wanting to just kill Heromarine, and at this point, it's not going to be possible with Link Stalkers. I don't think. No. It feels a little bit like Showtime is grasping here. I don't... Like, Heromarine just kind of took it in stride. Some TERRAN players will just pull the boys, be like, well, I guess I gotta get my command center up, and lose 5, 8 SCVs, and maybe even not finish the CC. Heromarine canceled it, walked up his ramp, built a bunker, and said, let's move on with our lives. You know a TERRAN is on top of their production when if you're using the default overlay and the nameplates like I am, you can't actually see some of the upgrades. And this is pretty high resolution. The Blink Stalkers are in the main. Heromarine, without a tank to defend in a key location. Surprisingly unawares. Getting a few. He's going to get out with everything. And a nice tag on the rest of the units. But a drop is coming in. What does he have for defense? Does he have a recall? Does he need a recall? That's a lot of Stim Marines. They don't have +1, but they're about to finish it up. Stalkers coming down. Sentry targeted. I don't know. Showtime kind of a mediocre defense. In fact, these units are trying to get out. They will. They'll pick off some of the bio. Heromarine relying on those trademark units. Now, Showtime has 52 probes. The one thing he doesn't have is a forge. Well, I'll take it back. Starts +1 armor for those charge lots. The reason armor is favored is because what it's about is closing the distance on the bio units. Weapon upgrades don't matter that much because all PROTOSS units do so much damage. If you, the charge, like, especially, oh, wow, okay. Losing the Oracle there is, you gotta, I think he has to remake the Oracle. He doesn't have a Robo, right? Yeah, there's no Robo. He has to remake the Oracle, I think, in order to keep vision. A little bit sloppy from Showtime with the Oracles early on. Between first just not getting the drop on him because, well, he got the drop on him when the medevac came out and happened to see him. That was a little lucky for Heromarine. That was not intentional. That was just an unhappy timing for Showtime. He's blinking his way back. Charge is done, but there just are not that many charge lots. Heromarine putting together a strong bio army. There are some tanks in the mix as well. Oh, Pylon gonna spot, I mean... He has plenty, he's not gonna get supply bot, but it's just straight gateway units here. Combat shields, concussive shells, +1 stim. He's got the full roster. Templar Archives on the way, but this is a dangerous attack. I'm very surprised he didn't remake an Oracle. Is the Robo done? He still doesn't have a Robo. The Widow Mines. Heromarine actually moved his entire army over here. The Widow Mine connects on almost everything in the middle of the pack. He's trying to take down the tanks, a little bit greedy on it. Another round of charge lots coming in. Does he have enough? 110 to 101 supply. Showtime. Desperately trying to defend, but the map is dark and full of TERRANs. He could be dropping the main. He could be attacking the third. He has to try to hedge his bets, but if he's a little bit out of position, then the game can end. Where is the army? He already split off a Zealot to try to see it, but... Oh, spots the main brunt of it here. Archon's immediately produced. He doesn't have the time for Storm. care. More Stalkers. +1, +2 armor. Heromarine a little bit later on that armory. Being very, very careful not to get Stalkers caught out. Is Showtime still going to get a couple bitten off? The supply is very even, but that oftentimes, with these army compositions, will favor a TERRAN. If the army compositions are more complicated, that's not necessarily the case, especially when you have things like Storm and Disruptors. Phoenix is on the way. That's just a straight bio army. Heromarine with his Heromarines, Marauders, Medivacs, and Mines. Ghost being added on, rushing, quote-unquote, the Shockwave upgrade. He knows EMP is going to be an important factor. Templar building energy, but Storm isn't even done yet. Feedback going to be important. Marauders leading the charge. Stalkers trying to fight against them, but the Punisher grenades doing exactly what they're named for. Showtime is taking a 4th. Game 1 all focused around that 4th base. This is such a dangerous game. If Heromarine splits off army supply to go for a drop in the main, it's dangerous because his main army might get smashed. But if Showtime is out of position, a drop in the main could gut his production and keep him in a tough spot to hold his 4th. If there's going to be a time... Oh, he gets the Templar just in time. He can pick him up, but the EMP connects. A lot of those Templar don't have the energy. He decides to warp in more. Near dead even supplies. Widow Mines continue to connect. The upgrades even as well. Storm is done, but so is EMPs with Shockwave. Archons, good concave here for the PROTOSS army, which is actually pretty relevant against the Widow Mines and EMPs. The 4th base under fire. He's got to go. He sees the Widow Mines there. He has to. He's just going to give up the 4th. That's a really tough call to make. Going to remake it before the first one is dead, or at least queue it up. Did he cancel his +2 armor? No, he got it done. Okay. Oh, almost blinking from the fire into the flames there. Widow Mines. Does he have any observers? No observers right now. He built a prism, and that's all he's been able to afford out of his robo, partially because he's supply blocked, losing a Nexus and a bunch of pylons. Showtime trying to play aggressive defense here, but if he goes too far, the EMPs can kill his army, essentially. They won't kill it, but they'll leave it so vulnerable it'll be easily run over. Showtime holding on. Like, it's so stressful. The mini-map is so stressful right now. EMPs coming through. Still, the Templar and the Prism are protected, as long as the Prism is alive, of course. Something in the main. Is that a Liberator? Is it a drop? Here, Showtime not paying attention. He's so focused on this army at the front. It is a drop. Showtime not reacting. Oh, the drop gonna find a lot. The production. You gotta be so careful. His entire army is moving out of position. A classic mistake. His entire army. And now suddenly Heromarine steps into the gap. Okay, the Storm's gonna buy time. Trapped in a prison of his own design, many of those Stalkers. Gonna try to work his way back, but Heromarine is everywhere and then some. EMP is on the Templar. They will do damage to the bio in the front, but there's plenty behind. The drop gets out. 10 probes go down. Oh, more damage being done. The probe count is only 60. Heromarine only has 56 SCVs. Have been so focused on production throughout this. The entire concave. EMPs across the board, but the Archon's still intact for now. Storms as well for reinforcement. Showtime down to 120 supply. Full retreat from the Terran army. But the drop is there. Oh, wait. Awkward. He doesn't have a single Stalker. Heromarine might have even jammed on the Selecto army hockey there. And that drop. And all hands will be shot down. Here, Showtime holds. Let's jump to Heromarine. Showtime somehow coming out on top of that defense. Despite losing battles left and right, he appears to be winning the war. Ever since he did that early pressure, he's been on the back foot. He hasn't been able to put on any sort of aggression since the blink into the main. Heromarine now has to figure out how to pick apart. His room for error is very small now. A couple storms, any other sort of splash damage, just a bad engagement overall. He's got 5 bases, but he doesn't have Liberators. He only has Ghosts as his complementary tech. His force multipliers, if you would. It's just Marines and Marauders. And some Mines in the mix. 3-3 is halfway done. +3, +2 for Showtime. He's adding on +3, +1. It's a little bit behind Heromarine's upgrades. Oh, even SCVs to repair some of the medevacs, something you don't see often, and those SCVs going to be punished for their efforts. That is a rich Vespine geyser in the center, by the way. Double the gas mining. You only need half the workers. It's a very important thing, especially for PROTOSS here. TERRAN doesn't usually struggle for gas as much in the later game, but when you're going for Liberators and for Ghosts, and maybe for even more tech on top of that. I don't know what that could be, Vikings or sometimes Battlecruiser, not Whisper. But Heromarine, he's got a single drop over to the right side. He's waiting for a mistake out of Showtime. 3-3 is finishing up. You don't really want to commit to it beforehand. That is a vulnerable prism. The Storm's not doing much, if anything at all. There's no army here. Showtime has to scramble into position. A drop heading towards the natural. The EMP's hitting anything that comes down that ramp. A Colossus shows up. But that Colossus won't turn the tides on its own. Two are being produced simultaneously. Two Colossi on the high ground. Where are the EMPs? Another drop in the natural. Just Stalkers to defend. Showtime doesn't have the position to attack into this. He just doesn't. That drop will stay alive. A constant thorn in the side. Any split second of distraction can spell disaster. Just switch a few letters around. Extended Thermal Lance is nearly done, and this game is extending my Thermal Lance. It's 200 supply for both sides. +3, +3, +1 for Showtime, but the EMPs across the board! Archon's gonna be forced. Even an EMP on a cannon. He's got them to spare. There are just so many. How many ghosts? He's got 9 of them. He's gonna lose some of his bio army. Isolated. And suddenly the Terran army starting to be whittled down. Showtime. Well, there's so many medevacs to the south. How many medevacs? He loves his medevacs. 11 medevacs. Oh, EMP, it seems to evaporate the Archons. Without the shields, they only got 10 HP. That's less HP than a wet paper bag. Even if it has good armor upgrades. Once again, the army, he's stepping far too far forward. The Colossi cannot stand against this many medevacs. They don't have the stopping power of the disruptors. And suddenly, Big Gabe is running them over. Showtime plummets under 100 supply. And guess what? EMPs everywhere. The shockwaves rippling throughout the esports community. Disruptors show up far too late. DT's in the mix. I heard a slice, maybe a dice, but it's not nice. Showtime has to tap it out. On the back foot again. You can't give up ground to Heromarine. He's already taken it. The second you step off it, he's already taken it. Every single time you see Showtime without vision, there's an army right there. You can assume. You don't know exactly what angle it's coming from, but the second you step outside your base, if you're not able to keep on map control, I want to point out, no Warp Prism. Your normal form of counterattack, like what we saw in Acropolis. A Warp Prism, like something. You have to tie some of those units at home. Unless you have the Death Ball army, unless you got something like Tempest and Disruptors, if you don't tie the entirety, well, if you don't tie a portion of the Terran army back at home, if you don't at least threaten their production and their economy, eventually you're gonna crumble. Once your unit shields are stripped away, I don't understand the choice of Colossi, to be honest. I don't know why you want Colossi this game instead of Disruptors. He was up against Ghosts and Medevacs. Colossi, in my opinion, were the wrong choice. It might have seemed like he could build up the Colossi and then build a Deathball army, but Colossi take time. 1 Colossi, 2 Colossi. If they have 11 Medevacs and EMPs, like, I think it takes like 7 Colossi to kill a Marauder if it's being healed by a Medevac. So that's I'm ballparking it, but so Medevacs once again, and it comes down to the control. If you're not on time, if you're losing drops, or you're getting hit by storms, or you're not focusing on those EMPs, well, the army will crumble. But the medevacs. When you have 11 medevacs, you're probably going to have the energy. Unless your EMP radius is as large as Roddy claims it is. In which case, the EMP would also hit the medevacs, negating all of their energy. But I don't think that's quite the case. Game number 5, match point. We're heading to Triton. Heromarine brings it back. Solid as a rock mentality. Now, I have to... I'd say one of the biggest issues for Heromarine in the past, like many foreign Terrans, essentially, even up to and including especially until this year, the biggest issue has been essentially just getting tilted. I know it sounds like a general term, but Terran is probably... I will agree. 9 out of 10 Terran players agree that Terran gets tilted the easiest. And that's just because there's so many things. It's a finely tuned watch. The other races have kind of a different way they go about. Terran gets punished the most for anything being off, especially in the early game. This is because of their supply block mechanic, the way they queue up units. If you get supply blocked as Terran or your production is stalled, you have to build the unit, and then it comes out to build another unit. Whereas with like PROTOSS and Zerg, you can to an extent bank up production. Like with Warp Gate, as soon as you get on supply blocked, here comes another round of units or another round of larva banked up. So if you get even a little tilted as Terran, if you get a little thrown off, if you miss your supply depots or they're destroyed or your rhythm is off tempo, then it can start to spiral very quickly. But Heromarine holding it together, and you know what throws people off is when somebody builds a gateway in your natural. I'd argue a lot of the time that can throw people off, and for good reason. Because, now I quote, there's a gateway in your natural. But Heromarine taking it in stride. In fact, like, I felt like Showtime was almost a little, I'm going to use this word that always feels uncomfortable, but miffed. He was a little miffed, like, is he just not going to, is he just going to cancel and he's not even going to try to defend his command? It's like, what do I do? Build the oracles, I guess? I don't know. He did not respect the proxy gateway nearly as much as he could have. Like, honestly, a fine response is literally just trying to keep your command center alive and shutting it down. But so it appears Heromarine has kind of matured in a way that allows him to focus on what he's good at, which and I did catch a little bit, like I caught a few highlights where Roddy was talking about how Heromarine said that macro was one of his strengths, or like Roddy, I'm paraphrasing, but Roddy said, so your macro is pretty good, or he's like, macro is one of my strengths, and Roddy's like, one of many, right? He's like, one of few. I got a top 5 Terran. Maru and Cyril are top 5 players, according to Big Gabe, so I mean, who can disagree? Showtime, okay. We're gonna go to his... Oh, he's going for the Adepts again. Oh, he's doing the same build that he used on Ephemeron. Is that how you say that map? Anyways, but guess what? This time, he's not gonna be taken by surprise. The Adepts are here, the Oracles are here, but the Hellions will get damage done. Knowledge is power. And not only does he kill probes, seeing the Oracle and seeing the Adepts is so incredibly important. I'm not sure why. This is very... Showtime decided not to wall. He has the gates, but he didn't wall off with them. If you wall up, well, maybe he was just really trying to hide this. But now, how does Heromarine respond to it? He knows this is coming. This time he won't have a tank. He's not building a bunker. Well, he's going to have stim. He's not stuck with a kind of a 1-1-1 this time. Well, at least not as... he has a more advanced barracks play. A turret is up. This just doesn't seem... Oh my god. The SCV slaps the last screw on that turret right as the oracles come in. So, a massive contrast to game number 3. Not a single SCV killed. I don't even think a single Marine was killed. Might be incorrect. No, he's only lost 4 units, all of which were Hellions. Heromarine keeping his Marines intact. How appropriate. So now we're going to see... Oh, that's a third Oracle. The Oracle build's very fragile. Oh my god. Thank you for underlining my point. They very much rely on aggressive defense, keeping your opponent anchored at their base as long as possible, and a little bit of luck. I will, because if the Terran scouts it, or like if the Terran doesn't scout it, it ends up like game 3 sometimes. It's like, oh, you're dead. You've got no economy, even though Heromarine still made a lot out of it. But if you get any damage done, it's difficult for the Terran to pressure. But guess what? He didn't do any damage. He took damage. So now Showtime. D-Mauer has to mount a defense. Because right now, the situation is nicht gut. There are a lot of Marines and Marauders. The force field, the Marines slip through, they butter up, and they get through. He just runs right through. The force field, and now there's barely any energy. Oh my god. A half pixel was enough for those skinny Marines to make their way through and start the attack before the next warp and before blink. The shield batteries keep enough units intact. Blink will finish. The worker count 59 to 49. Blink is going to finish up. +1. Now this is something he didn't have in the previous match. His upgrades were quite late. He's focusing on +1 attack this time. Heromarine, now unlike the Ephemeron game, he doesn't have to go all in either. When you have mules, and I believe he took a third base behind this. Let's go to the Heromarine action cam. Gonna be looking for an opportunity. Stem some of those Marines. Another thing, another indicator that he's keeping his cool. A lot of Terran players will see air units, and they'll be like, go get them, everybody. Slam on the stim key. All your Marauders are also stimmed, and those medevacs aren't being paid enough, even when he makes so many of them. But Heromarine just selecting a few, the ones he knows have a chance, and, well, maintaining precision, which is required. And the production is on the way. This is the key point. For those of you Meta League Terrans out there like myself, the amount of production he's put up in a timely manner while keeping this pressure on is what is so scary to the PROTOSS. That's what allows him to play this style of macro Terran, is he does not slip. His money is lucky to go above 500, even while microing. He's constantly on top of those barracks. 2-2 is on the way. He's going to have an upgrade advantage, even with Chrono Boost potentially being factored in. He spots the base. He just flies over. Pretty confident there's not an observer. If there was an observer, that was a little risky. I don't believe we've seen a robo yet this game. Once again, the Stargate play leaves you vulnerable to direct ground attack. Especially if those oracles are sniped off, you have very little vision. He has an oracle, but he's having a tough time. The scan's there. He sees the sentries. There are some pretty wide choke points, but they are choke points. A counterattack coming through a single zealot. Gonna force all the SCVs away, and then Heromarines like, maybe not.
Mineral field.
The ground army. EMP shockwaves are on the way. Oh no, the oracle's gone. That was essentially his only vision. Besides sending out units.
Ghost reporting.
2-2 on the way. Heromarine keeping it together.
Your forces
Not taking fights. He knows he's not going to win. Vikings as well. I'm not sure if he suspects. Well, he hasn't seen any Templar yet. So ghosts are good. Templar are the more obvious transition when you see your opponent has blink. But it could, well, 1, Vikings for a prism, and 2, if it's Colossi, you're ready. Heromarine a step ahead. He's not going all out. He's not building like 3 starports. He's actually building 3 more barracks.
Ready to plunder.
That's how you know what he likes. Gonna add the starports on now, but full production. At the same time, though. Showtime. Bleeding Zealots. The Templar are spotted. How many ghosts in the mix? Enough? 2-2's not done. 2-2 will be finishing up in a few seconds. Maybe Heromarine wants to pick a fight then, but guess what? There's a counterattack. Widow Mines will connect. 7 SCVs go down alongside the friendly fire. Heromarine holding the center of the map. He doesn't want to come back for a handful of lowly Zealots. It's going to take more than that to get him to commit.
SCV ready. This better be good. Ghost report.
What is the worker count? 68 to 73 workers. Essentially full economies for both sides, but still vulnerable to getting hit. I think he saw a Templar pick up there. EMP is looking for an opportunity. Heromarine splitting and stimming. The Marauder's always in front to eat. Well, especially if there are stalkers and some more coming through. Another Templar. I don't know if it had the energy for Storm, but either way, it's dead now. EMP also connected on the Warp Prison. Heromarine has found the solution. If you simply have enough medevacs to heal each individual unit, you no longer need to care about whether or not you get stormed. Heromarine, big Gabe, big brain, big plays. He has 8 medevacs and counting. 3-3 on the way. Disruptor's coming up. You gotta cut through the medevac somehow. The storm is good, but it essentially is enough. EMP across the board. Where is Showtime's army? Completely out of position. That lack of robo, lack of observers showing again. EMP on the stalkers. Does he have enough to hold the line? A single disruptor finding a decent connection. There's a ghost there. A storm on the center mass. But EMPs will cut down the effective HPs of all the PROTOSS. Disruptor gonna force things back. The only thing it hits is a Templar. Showtime down to 123. The Medevac's almost out of energy. But so are all PROTOSS units. Disruptors being targeted down. Showtime holds. But at what cost? And guess what? At no point did he stop producing. Look at the mini-map. Constantly streaming across. That's not even a super pylon. We'll even get an Archon. He does. 3-3 on the way for both sides. Disruptor's coming up. He's just gonna drop the Vikings. There's nothing to hit. Another disruptor shot. There's so much Terran. It's everywhere. The splits are ridiculous. More disruptors being chrono boosted out, but the robos, he's tearing through everything. He's going straight into the main. Every single PROTOSS unit being gunned down pretty much before it gets an attack off. He's desperately trying to put together an army, but he never had the splash damage to outdo the shockwave. Showtime knocked out by Heromarine. Who said TERRAN can't be cost effective? Heromarine, like, I'm not sure if it is just how intentional it is to build this many medevacs. And I say this is, don't try this at home, Terrans. 13 medevacs only make the difference if you have that sort of control. And Heromarine making full use of the new upgrade for EMP. Throw in the shockwaves. Gateway-based armies just don't seem to cut it. Especially if you don't have map control. If you have map control, you have a little bit of leeway. But if you don't have map control and you have a gateway-based army, you're 1 or 2 EMPs away from not being able to take a fight. If you can't take a fight, you're going to lose a base. And if you're going to lose a base, well, either you're going to lose a base or you're going to lose the game. It felt like Heromarine, despite losing a couple, kind of adapted over time. Game number 1 was back and forth, even though Heromarine was doing a good job. But this game was kind of similar to game 1 in how it played out. But He really drove the point home. And he's a Terran's Terran. Units that start with M and maybe a few ghosts sprinkled in. And that's all he wants in life. Maybe a couple Vikings, but he sticks to his guns and his grenade launchers that the Marauders have. You got the idea. It was a pun. But Big Gabe comes out on top, 3-2. He is the Wunderkid, the best German player in the tournament, and he'll move on. He will be at BlizzCon for those of you who want to root for him. If you enjoyed the breakdown, the first person back and forth, smash that like button like Heromarine. Well, I was going to say smashed the Templar, but not really smashed. Kind of beautifully controlled and negated, but that doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it? And YouTube keeps telling me to tell people to ring the bell. Because apparently subscribing and liking is just not enough. So, ringing the bell is like the building over 10 medevacs of YouTube. So hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure to check out the main VODs as well. Heromarine stream. He was streaming like a day before. He was streaming and then flew to Montreal like a day before the tournament. So, a commitment to his fans and still maintaining that skill level, making the rest of us look bad. Congratulations.